The world of Elden Ring is vast and mysterious, spanning various regions and biomes, from open seas to towering mountains and dark caves. There is a lot to see in the lands between, including its stunning architecture and unique inhabitants. However, this land is troubled, a world where gods play their games through tricks, politics and corruption, while mere dwellers are nothing but pawns in a fate decided ages ago. Although you can spend hours exploring lands between and encountering its citizens, admiring its beauty and diversity, there are moments when, despite all the action, the world feels abandoned, forgotten, and corroding. When I was replaying Elden Ring recently, my wife said, "Despite all the monsters and vast world, it feels so empty and dead." And it's true, there is something deeply oppressive about this place, swallowed by excruciating sadness and pain. Definitely, aspects such as the architecture and overall art direction contributes to the feeling. Even when the sun shines in lands between, it doesn't bring comfort or warmth. It almost feels as if the sun itself is losing its brightness and power. In addition to this, the music composed by Yuka Kitamura, also known for her work on the Dark Souls series, and Tsukasa Saito, further enhance the world's overwhelming bleakness. Everything you come across, everyone you meet, seems to be on the brink of extinction. So we can agree that the world design, music and overall atmosphere creates a sense of oppressiveness and abandonment, ultimately making us feel completely alone in facing the hardship of this land. However, are we truly alone? After all, we are tarnished, former members of a god-freed great army, which once traveled beyond the lands between to wage wars and conquer. After being banished by Marika, and then after her sudden disappearance, we, along with other tarnished, were given a chance to return to the lands between, to seek the throne and become Elden Lords in these unforgiven lands. One of the ways to meet other tarnished in the world of Elden Ring is by invading their world, which is one of the functions of the multiplayer. While not explicitly explained in the Elden Ring, in Dark Souls all worlds are interconnected, phasing in and out of each other. In Dark Souls, using items like the Red Eye Orb allows players to cross the boundary between worlds and invade others, similar to Elden Ring's festering bloody finger. While this type of multiplayer experience is unique in its premise, at its core, it doesn't differ much from a regular PvP game, where the principle is simple. One against the other, fight to the death and see who wins. Although this might be the most common type of multiplayer experience we are all familiar with, it doesn't encourage much social interaction. Instead of players experiencing that they share similar stories in this unforgiven world and are trying to overcome it together, it makes the experience feel more hostile and unwelcoming. But among all of this, there are a few more mechanisms in Elden Ring that create a sense of community among players, even though they don't directly interact with each other. Let's have a look at the other games like DayZ or World of Warcraft, which you might have seen on this channel. We have direct insight into other players' adventures. We can communicate, help, or even kill them. However, while killing other players is possible in Elden Ring through the means already mentioned, it feels more like a distinct feature rather than a core part of the overall game experience. Something that is much more common to encounter compared to the invasion, and that can represent a feature of social interaction in Elden Ring, is the existence and appearance of phantoms in the game world. Essentially, the ghosts of the players within our own realm. The exact mechanics behind them are not entirely known, and only the developers could fully explain how they are coded. However, it is understood that their appearance depends on the proximity of the other player in their world to your location. They can be real-time representation of other players' action or have a delay of up to 15 minutes. Players conducted tests trying to find the phantoms of their friends by standing in approximately the same location, There are also testimonies of players managing to interact with Phantom through a simple wave gesture or something similar, supporting that idea that they were seeing each other in real time. Personally, when I first encountered Phantoms in Dark Souls 3, I didn't fully understand their purpose. I was a bit puzzled, was it just a visual effect, coded into the game? But after some time, I realized, hey, those are other players. Although we can speculate that due to the Dark Souls' more linear nature, despite still being a masterpiece, seeing a phantom of a player simply going about their business might not have such an impact. In the open world of the lands between, where players have far more options in choosing their next adventure, these fleeting encounters feel much more meaningful. In Elden Ring, it is a unique experience to see fellow Tarnished traversing the same paths as we are. It adds a sense of wonder and excitement. Are they exploring a new area out of curiosity, returning to face a boss they struggled with before, or perhaps uncovering a hidden place or quest we have yet to discover? Sometimes seeing a Phantom player suddenly change direction can spark our own curiosity and even influence our own path. Maybe this particular Tarnish knows something that we don't. Or imagine a situation where you see a Phantom player swinging their weapon at a quest NPC. This can cause quite a reaction. I once found Sorcerer Selen trapped in the ruins of Witchbane in the Weeping Peninsula and saw a Phantom attacking her. It made me question whether I should do the same to obtain some rare item. Often in moments like this, when I see Phantoms doing something unexpected or sudden, it sparks my curiosity and really evokes a sense of community. Additionally, bloodstains reinforce the idea that you are not the only one facing the challenges. You are not alone in the struggle. And then, just seconds later, you might see a Phantom, perhaps the very owner of the bloodstain that marks the ground. And despite only seeing the shadows of your fellow Tarnished, there are still ways to communicate, though they are not very elaborate. I never paid much attention to the messages left by other players, but on my third Elden Ring playthrough, despite knowing the location well, I noticed a sign next to a set of doors I knew were closed. It read something like "Try doors," implying that maybe this time they would open. I stood there for a minute or two trying to open them, then laughed and uploaded the sign before continuing my journey. Another situation happened just after the fight with Radahn. In the vast desert where the battle had taken place, I noticed a message saying something along the lines of "Head north." So I did. I had never been there before, but I traveled forward, hoping to find something interesting. Eventually, I reached an area near the rocks at the northern end and thought, well, there is nothing here, but at least I know now. To commemorate this small adventure, I left a message saying, "Why is it always a dead end?" To my surprise, just a few minutes later, someone else had done the exact same thing. They had traveled to the northern end of the desert, found my message and liked it. Seeing my character emit a light with the notification that my message had been uploaded was such a simple yet powerful moment. It was a reminder that even in this lonely world, I am not alone. There are moments and ideas that are shared with other players, even without any direct interaction between us. Although those might be humorous examples, I've come across many messages commenting on the game world, expressing emotions and feelings, or offering advice and warnings. This messaging system makes me appreciate that despite the daunting atmosphere of Elden Ring world, there are other players experiencing it alongside us, just as amazed and immersed in its mysteries. So we might ask, is Elden Ring a massive multiplayer game with deep social interaction and mechanisms? Well, no, but we are definitely sharing the experience with many other Tarnished. So tell me guys, what is your reaction to phantoms and messages left by other Tarnished? Did you ever leave any message yourself? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed today's little essay video, and stay tuned for more. And I see you in the next one.